America is good at almost every sport it takes seriously. It builds huge leagues, fills giant stadiums, creates superstars, sells the games around the world, and turns finals into national events. But there is one trophy it has never touched, the men's FIFA World Cup, and that is the strange part. Because in 2026, the World Cup is not happening far away in a country most casual American fans have to wake up early to watch. It is coming to North America. The United States is one of the hosts. The stadiums will be packed. The games will be everywhere. People who barely watch soccer now are going to hear about it every day. So the obvious question is this: if America is such a powerful sports country, why has it never won the biggest football tournament on earth? The lazy answer is because Americans call it soccer, but that is not the real answer. The real answer is about timing. It is about culture. It is about missed decades. It is about how young players are developed. It is about how hard the World Cup actually is. And it is about the difference between being a good team in your region and being good enough to beat the best teams in the world when one bad night sends you home. And 2026 matters because for the first time in a long time, all of those old questions are about to be tested in front of a home crowd. The United States is not the favorite to win the 2026 World Cup. That needs to be said clearly. This is not a hype video pretending America is suddenly better than France, Argentina, Brazil, Spain, England, Germany, or the other countries that have lived this sport for generations. But 2026 could still be different, not because the US is guaranteed to win. It is not. But because this might be the tournament where American soccer stops feeling like it is trying to convince people it matters. To understand that, you have to start with the simple fact: the United States men's national team has never won the FIFA World Cup. Its best listed finish came in 1930, at the first World Cup, when the US finished third. That sounds huge, and historically it is, but 1930 was a completely different football world. The tournament was smaller, the sport was less global in the way we know it now, and international football had not yet become the monster it is today. In the modern era, the run American fans point to most often is 2002. The U.S. reached the quarterfinals. It beat Portugal in the group stage. It beat Mexico in the round of 16. Then it lost to Germany in a match that still annoys U.S. fans when they talk about it. The U.S. also reached the knockout stage in 2010, 2014, and 2022. So this is not a country with no World Cup history. It is not a country that has never had good players, good moments, or real progress. But there is a massive gap between having moments and winning the tournament. That gap is the whole story. The first reason America has never won the World Cup is the most obvious one, but people skip over how important it really is. Football was not America's main sport for most of modern history. In Brazil, Argentina, England, Germany, Spain, France, Italy, Mexico, and so many other countries, football is not just a game people discover when a tournament starts. It is childhood. It is family. It is school breaks, street games, local clubs, TV nights, arguments in the kitchen, shirts passed down, heroes on bedroom walls, and kids learning the rhythm of the game before anyone formally teaches them. That matters. A World Cup winning country is not built in the year before the tournament. It is built over decades. It is built when a 6-year-old touches a ball every day. It is built when local coaches know how to spot talent early. It is built when clubs, academies, families, scouts, and national teams all form a pathway that gives the best young players a serious chance to become elite. For a long time, America had the athletes. What it did not have at the same level was the football ecosystem. The country's sporting attention went somewhere else. American football took a huge share of the spotlight. Basketball created global icons. Baseball had deep tradition. Hockey had its regions. College sports became a giant machine. So if a kid in the United States was fast, strong, coordinated, competitive, and confident, soccer was not always the obvious first path. In many other countries, that kid might be pushed toward football from the beginning. In America, that kid might end up as a wide receiver, a point guard, a shortstop, a sprinter, or something else entirely. And this is where people get the argument wrong. Football is not just about raw athletic ability. You cannot just take a great athlete from another sport, give him a ball, and expect him to become a World Cup star. The best footballers need touch, timing, scanning, balance, decision-making, calm under pressure, and thousands of hours of tiny technical habits. But the talent pool still matters. If football is not getting enough of the country's best young athletes early enough, and if those athletes are not getting elite football training early enough, you feel that later. You feel it when the World Cup becomes faster, tighter, and more technical than anything those players face in most regional games. That is the first big problem. Not that America cannot produce athletes. America produces plenty. The problem is that football did not sit at the center of the sports culture for long enough. The second reason is even harder. Winning the World Cup is ridiculously difficult. A lot of sports fans in America are used to domestic leagues. You have a season, playoffs, and a champion. The best team in that league wins the title. It is hard, but it is still one league, one country, one system. The World Cup is different. You are not just trying to beat your local rivals. You are trying to beat countries with completely different football histories, styles, pressures, and player pools. A team might face South American intensity, European structure, African speed and power, Asian discipline, and CONCACAF chaos all in one tournament. And if you get one knockout game wrong, you're out. That is why even countries that adore football have never won it. The Netherlands have had legendary teams, and it's still never lifted the Men's World Cup. Belgium had a golden generation and did not win it. Croatia reached a final and a semifinal in recent tournaments and still did not win it. Mexico has a deep football culture and still has not reached a World Cup final. So when someone says, "Why has America never won the World Cup?" part of the answer is uncomfortable, but simple. Almost nobody has. Winning this tournament is not normal. It is rare. It usually belongs to countries with generations of football obsession, elite player development, deep tactical knowledge, and players who are used to carrying impossible pressure. The U.S. has not just been chasing a trophy. It has been chasing countries that started building toward that trophy long before America took the sport seriously at the same level. The third reason is that the United States missed important development years. The U.S. was there at the beginning of World Cup history, but then it spent a long time away from the center of the global game. There were long periods when the national team was not a consistent World Cup presence. There was no domestic football machine in America that matched what existed in major football countries. Then came 1994. The United States hosted the World Cup, and that tournament proved something important. It proved America could stage the event at a massive scale. It proved there was an audience. It helped push the sport forward, and after that, Major League Soccer became part of the modern American soccer story. But hosting one tournament does not magically create a World Cup winning nation. A league needs time. Coaching needs time. Academies need time. Fans need time. Young players need to grow up in a system where the pathway feels real. That is the part casual fans often miss. You can create excitement quickly. You cannot create decades of football culture overnight. By the time the U.S. started building a more serious modern structure, the traditional football powers were not standing still. They were improving too. Their academies were getting sharper. Their scouting was becoming more global. Their players were competing in Champions League environments, top domestic leagues, and pressure matches every season. So America was not chasing a parked car. It was chasing a moving one. That brings us to CONCACAF. The United States plays in the region that includes North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. In that region, the U.S. has become one of the main powers, especially alongside Mexico. That matters. Regional strength is not nothing. It builds confidence, rivalries, tournament experience, and expectation. But being strong in CONCACAF is not the same as being ready to win a World Cup. That sounds harsh, but it is true. A team can look comfortable in regional games and then meet a completely different level at the World Cup. The speed is different. The punishment is different. The technical level is different. The decision-making has to be quicker. The best teams do not need 10 chances to hurt you. Sometimes they need one mistake. The US has learned this over and over again. It has had famous highs. The 1950 win over England is still one of the great World Cup upsets. The 2002 run showed the US could beat good teams on the world stage. The 2010 team gave American fans the Landon Donovan moment against Algeria. The 2014 team survived a brutal group with Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. The 2022 team went unbeaten in the group stage before losing to the Netherlands. But the knockout rounds are where promising teams meet the truth. You can play well for long stretches and still lose. You can have energy, belief, and a plan, then get punished by one elite pass, one late run, one lapse at the back, one missed chance at the other end. That has been the American problem. Good enough to compete, not yet consistent enough to win the whole thing. Now, that does not mean the US story is negative. It is actually more interesting than that. The US has made real progress. It has become more visible. It has produced more players with experience outside the country. It has built a stronger domestic league. It has made soccer feel more normal for younger American fans than it felt for many older generations. A kid in America now can grow up watching the Premier League, Champions League, MLS, Liga MX, World Cups, and football clips every day on social media. That was not the same world previous generations had. More American players have gone abroad. More young fans know global stars. More families see soccer as a serious sport, not just something children play before moving on to other games. That does not instantly turn the US into a World Cup favorite, but it does change the base the national team is standing on. And that is why 2026 is such a big moment. The World Cup is coming to the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The tournament expands to 48 teams. The United States automatically qualifies as a co-host. Official tournament information lists the event from June 11th to July 19th, 2026, with matches across 16 host cities. For the US, that removes one major stress right away. There is no qualification drama, no late panic, no risk of missing the tournament like in 2018. The team is in. The question becomes what it does with the opportunity. Home advantage will not win the World Cup by itself. Fans cannot finish chances. Stadium noise cannot fix a defensive mistake. A home crowd does not turn a decent team into prime Brazil. But home advantage can change the feeling around a tournament. It can make players feel like the whole country is behind them. It can make casual fans care. It can turn group games into national moments. It can create pressure, but pressure is not always bad. Sometimes pressure is the thing that tells you the country finally expects something. For American soccer, that might be the bigger story. The 2026 World Cup could reach millions of Americans who usually ignore the sport. Not because someone told them they should care, but because the tournament will be in their cities, on their screens, in their time zones, and all over their social feeds. That is powerful. A country's football culture does not change because of one match, but a home World Cup can speed things up. A child watching in 2026 might become part of the next generation. A family that barely watched soccer might pick a team. A casual viewer might finally understand why the rest of the world treats this tournament like nothing else. Even if the US does not win, that matters. There is also the player generation. The exact 2026 squad needs to be checked against official announcements before any final video is recorded, because form, injuries, coaching decisions, and selection can all change. But the wider trend is clear enough. The US player pool has become more internationally connected than many past generations. More players understand bigger football environments. More players have grown up with the sport around them in a way that feels closer to the global game. The question is whether that can turn into tournament maturity. Can the US control emotional moments? Can it finish the chances it gets? Can it defend with full concentration for 90 minutes or more? Can it adjust when the first plan fails? Can it beat a team with more World Cup history without treating the moment like a miracle? That is the line between a good story and a serious run. So what would actually have to go right in 2026? First, the team needs clarity. World Cups punish confusion. There is not enough time to figure everything out once the tournament starts. The coach needs a clear core, a clear shape, a clear pressing plan, a clear way to defend, and clear options from the bench. Second, the best players need to be healthy and in form. A World Cup is not won by names on paper. It is won by players arriving sharp, confident, and ready to handle pressure. Third, the US has to be ruthless in small moments. That means taking chances, defending set pieces, tracking runners, staying calm after conceding, and not losing focus during the 5 seconds when elite teams destroy you. Fourth, the draw matters. Every deep World Cup run needs quality, but timing matters too. Who you face, when you face them, how rested they are, which players are injured or suspended, and how the bracket opens can all shape a tournament. And fifth, the crowd has to become a real force. Not just noise for the cameras, a real home atmosphere that makes the US feel like it belongs in the biggest matches. That is the realistic path. Not magic, not blind hype. A clear team, healthy players, sharp finishing, a manageable draw, and a country that actually shows up for the sport. So, could the United States win the 2026 World Cup? Realistically, it would be a huge upset. The US should not be talked about like a favorite. That would not be honest. The countries with deeper squads, deeper histories, and more proven tournament records deserve that status first. But could the US make a serious run? Yes. Could it reach a quarterfinal if things break right? That is a realistic dream. Could it beat a bigger team in one knockout match? It can happen. Could 2026 change how America sees soccer, even without a trophy? That might be the most realistic outcome of all. And maybe that is the real point. America has never won the Men's World Cup because football did not grow there the way it grew in the countries that usually win it. The culture came later. The development system came later. The best athletes were split across other sports. The national team had to build credibility while the rest of the world kept moving. And at the highest level, being decent is not enough. The World Cup exposes every weakness. But 2026 is different because the tournament is coming to America's front door. The US is already in it. The format is bigger. The audience will be bigger. The pressure will be bigger. The opportunity will be bigger. That still does not mean the United States will lift the trophy. But it does mean this could be the World Cup where America stops treating soccer like a sport it is trying to understand from the outside, and starts feeling like a country that is part of the story.